James Douglas McKay was an American businessman and politician from Oregon. He served in World War I before he became a successful businessman, mainly as a car dealership owner in the capital city of Salem. A Republican, he served as a city councilor and mayor of Salem before election to the Oregon State Senate. McKay served 4 terms in the state Senate, also fought in World War II, and was then elected as the 25th governor of Oregon in 1948. He left that office before the end of his term when he was selected as the 35th U.S. Secretary of the Interior during the Eisenhower administration. Early life and business career. McKay was born in Portland, Oregon, to farmer Edwin.D. McKay and his wife Minnie A. Musgrove. His family's limited means required him to work while still a schoolboy. After his father's death in 1911, McKay was forced to leave school before receiving a high school diploma. He was admitted to Oregon State College in Corvallis as an agriculture student at the age of 20. McKay was the elected student body president in 1916. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree and married Mabel Christine Hill on March 31, 1917. They had 1 son and 2 daughters, Douglas, Shirley and Mary Lou McKay. During World War I, he served with the United States Army in Europe, where he advanced to the rank of first lieutenant. He sustained an injury in battle to his leg, right arm, and shoulder, which earned him a Purple Heart. Upon discharge, the disability prevented him from performing the strenuous activities involved with farming, so he began a business career in Portland selling insurance, and then automobiles, rising to the position of sales manager. After the move to the sales manager position, the company sent him to Salem, where he was in charge of their dealership in the city. He opened Douglas McKay Chevrolet Co. in 1927, and later started a Cadillac dealership as well. McKay later served as president of the Oregon Automobile Dealers Association. Early political career. McKay won election to several local political offices as a Republican, becoming mayor of Salem in 1932, and guided that city through fiscal troubles in the wake of the Great Depression, steering his city into recovery, according to a contemporary journalist quoted by biographer Herbert S. Parmitt. Made McKay a firm advocate of government as well as business, preserving and guarding its financial foundation. McKay was elected to the Oregon State Senate in 1934, serving 4 terms interrupted by service as a major in the Army during World War II. In 1940, he was an alternate delegate to the Republican National Convention, which nominated the Wilkie McNary ticket. Governor of Oregon. He was elected governor in 1948 on a platform of fiscal conservatism and economic development. As governor, McKay took a balanced approach to state government. He was a strong advocate for resource conservation, however, he also supported cutting of old-growth timber to create jobs for Oregonians. McKay actively opposed the federal government's plan to create a Columbia Valley Authority. He supported legislation to turn over 95% of the profits from the Oregon Liquor Control Commission to the state's general fund, with the remaining profits going to Oregon cities based on population. He advocated expanding Oregon's highway system, supporting a successful bond issue that raised $75 million for the Oregon State Highway Department. McKay won re-election as governor in 1950. Tom McCall, who would later become governor, served as McKay's executive secretary and press officer between 1949 and 1951. Secretary of the Interior. Secretary McKay and Dwight D. Eisenhower had significant ideological differences, the general being identified with the Republican moderates, and McKay with the conservative wing. Fearing that conservative Senator Robert A. Taft had little or no chance of winning the presidency in 1952, and admiring Eisenhower for his military record and leadership qualities, McKay supported Eisenhower's candidacy early in the campaign. Upon his election, Eisenhower appointed McKay as Secretary of the Interior. McKay resigned as Oregon governor on December 27, 1952. As the U.S. Secretary of the Interior, McKay proved himself a political asset and an effective administrator, largely because of his concern for natural resources in the western states balanced by fiscal and business acumen. As an administrator, he worked hard to balance the interests of conservationists and developers. He fostered partnerships involving the states, local public groups, private enterprise, and the federal government in building facilities and developing natural resources. During his tenure, McKay worked to prevent the Columbia Valley Authority and public development of the Hells Canyon project. McKay created 9 new wildlife reserves, and he opposed the transfer of Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge property to the Army. However, he also advocated building a dam at Echo Park which would have flooded Dinosaur National Monument. In the Oregon allowed of the Alabama Mining Company to harvest timber, for that his critics dubbed him called Giveaway McKay. Quote, he also supported Indian termination policy in 1954. In Washington, McKay abolished 5 divisions within the Interior Department, cutting 4,000 positions and reducing the budget by nearly $200 million. In 1954, McKay was featured on the cover of the edition of August 23 of Time. Later Years and Legacy. At the urging of Eisenhower, McKay resigned March 9, 1956, effective April 15, 1956, to challenge incumbent Wayne Morse for his seat in the United States Senate. He lost a fierce campaign, in no small measure because of the opposition he had engendered among Oregon conservation groups. Eisenhower replaced the more conservative McKay at Interior with a moderate Republican, Fred Andrew Seaton, a former short-term senator from Nebraska. He died of heart attack in Salem, Oregon, at the age of 66, and was interred at Bellcrest Memorial Park in Salem. Salem's Douglas McKay High School, built in 1979, bears his name.